Okay, here's the whole story.
Okay.
I'm glad Alex walked outside. Here's the whole story. We're at the WPT in Paris, and we're playing a cash game. At least 4 and 800, maybe a little bigger. I can't remember. And even though Phil and I were best friends, we play props. And in those days, I was kind of higher on the totem pole than Phil. Phil one time even followed me around a tournament, playing props, sitting behind me. They let him sit behind me. And I even sometimes, he would do funny things in props. Like he'd turn his cards over quicker. We'd have some board crap. I used to let him take advantage of me, which he probably knows. And like I say, since when he got to the top, he's been very nice to me in certain situations, help me out, whatever it is. But Phil and I were playing props, maybe a third person. I can't remember if there's a third person in the game. Now we hear just screaming in French, really, really just loud screaming. And we see a guy with a gun to the back of a security guard marching him into the cage in the aviation club. And everyone like dives to the floor. Well, everyone except me. I sit in my chair calmly. Now, I actually have had a couple times guns pointed at me. The first time it was pretty scary. Didn't grow up in a gun culture. But it was so obvious he's going to the cashier's cage, and we just have chips on the table, not money. I never for a second thought, although occasionally he didn't have an accomplice with him. Sometimes when they have multiple people, they come and rob the people their jewelry, which I've seen happen. But it's just one guy. I knew he's not going to come in and shoot us, whatever. I didn't in any way feel threatened. But everyone else is under the table. I'm just sitting in my chair like this. And then Alex says, get under the table. And I said, well, guy's not. He's at the cage. He's not going to do anything else. And then you got to, like tears, you got to get under the table. So I wasn't afraid. I mean, actually, it's a mistake in retrospect. This is before you see all these shootings. You don't want to be a randomly shot person. He could have walked out, who knows, been crazy guy and shot me, right? It was the wrong decision on my part. But at the time, maybe trying to be macho, whatever, I don't know, whatever. I just, maybe in the mindset, I don't get under the table for anyone. But I didn't until she basically dragged me under. So now we're under the table. And Phil says to me, and I don't know what you know about props, but if you hit a prop, the very next hand, if you hit again, it's double. We call that being on for doubles. And props, for those people who don't know, we have 3 card combinations. We each used to have like 6. And if those 3 cards, it all started from when people used to bet on 100 to 1 on 3 face cards coming on the prop. Then we modified it where you could pick your own. My main prop is 973. Mm-hmm. Phil's big prop is 854. And then we have other props that aren't worth as much, okay? And each of our name props actually have our name. And Phil's, or I'm trying to think what Chip's was. Because we even had a thing when Chip died, we retired his prop. Okay, nobody else could take it. What was Chip? And people were known. Doyle's, not surprisingly, is 10-3 deuce. The 10 deuce being from the hands he won, and he throws the 3 because they're 3-card props. So we all had name props. But anyway, we're under the table, and Phil is actually the one says to me, hey, when this is over, I'm on for doubles. And through the commotion and everything, I didn't remember. I said, you sure? And I assumed, whatever,
You're talking about Paris?
Yeah, Paris.
He said that, but it's the opposite.
Well, wait, no, you're not supposed to tell it, ruin the story. She just walked back in. Anyway, so Phil says, we're on for double. I'm on for doubles. And I said, are you sure? He says, yeah, I'm sure. I remember it.
I glared at him.
And then, Alex says she glared at him because she didn't think, she's sitting behind me. She didn't think he was.
No, I knew exactly what happened, but the guy pointed a gun at me, remember?
The guy pointed the gun at you?
Yeah, in the club. Oh my God.
Oh, I don't think it was pointed at you. But anyway, she says
it in my face.
Okay, she says it pointed her direction. That's why she was scared. But anyway, and I said to Phil, okay, I didn't remember, but if you say you're on for doubles, you're on for doubles. Okay, when we get back to playing, so now we sit up to the table, and then we get to see the board. I didn't realize, and none of us did. The board hadn't been taken down. The guy came with the gun. The board is still sitting there. And was I on for doubles? Yeah, Alex said, yeah, I was on for doubles.
When he said it, he was cracking up.
Oh, he was taking a shot.
No, he was laughing at you when he said
he was laughing. He
he was giggling. When
Oh,
he
she
said
says
it
he
to
was giggling.
you.
He was doing it just in a lighthearted way. He probably didn't know one way or the other, but lighthearted. He said, "Hey, when we get back, I'm on for doubles."
Mm-hmm.
Not like a mean shot, but kind of joking shot. But then we get back up to the table, and there's my problem. I'm on for doubles. So that's what actually happened. We were so maybe anyone else not knowing what's going on. I think Jeff Lysandro was there at the time. Who else? David Benjamin, probably.
David Benjamin.
People like that. So they've heard us. They're all worried about getting shot. We're talking about props. That's actually what was happening.
I stood up to go to the bathroom. The guy pointed the gun at me and told me to sit back down.
Oh, that's what happened. Oh, she had to go to the bathroom after a while, and the guy pointed a gun at her and told her to sit down.
No, I was the first one. I got up to leave the room, and then I was like kind of shocked. As soon as I turned around, the guy stuck a gun in my face.
Okay.
And I just slowly turned back around, got in my chair, and actually I was the first one to just automatically slid under the table.
Okay. Oh, she wasn't at the table when the guy first came in. That's why when the guy came with the gun, you weren't behind me. You were like out towards the hallway.
I was behind you, but our table was right at the door.
Okay.
Mm.
Anyway, I don't know if you can hear that.
You were right
I
at
can
the
hear.
door.
Okay. So whatever. That's what happened. And
Whatever.
yeah, she was. Yeah, she's been mad. She's not been happy with the way I acted that time.
Because I told him to get under the table and he wouldn't.
Yeah,
until
yeah.
the gunman told him to.
No, the gunman didn't tell me. I got under because you told me.
No, the gunman
Okay,
told
okay.
everybody to get on the floor.
Oh, okay. We didn't get our stuff stolen, which reminds me of another story. They used to charge so much rake in these private games in Texas.
Uh-huh.
Actually, I get two stories out of Houston.
Okay.
One, I'll tell the one because I always remember this one. I'll tell the one I may forget. I used to play at a place called the Redmond's Club. And the way it worked at the Redmond's Club is people don't realize you could operate a poker room. There was a guard tower, a regular card room they played. I don't think they're there anymore. But as long as you gave money to charity, you had a charter, you gave money to charity, maybe give kickbacks to the police, they'd let you run it. And most people didn't know that. So there's a Redman's Club. And the reason that I first started buying in short was the rake at the Redmond's Club. You probably, like a lot of states, you can't rake the game. That's illegal. But like you can have a home game if you don't rake it. Well, they charged a fee. And the fee at the Redmond's Club was for some reason 10% of whatever you bought in for. The game, this is 1979, probably is that? I'm trying to guess. Yeah, probably was 25, between 25 and 30. Probably around 1979. It was a $500 buying game. Might not sound like a lot, but people usually buying for $2,000, $5,000 was a big buying. And people buying for $2,000 or $3,000, and I'd see they buying for $2,000. You have to pay $200, right? And I just said, well, can I buy them for $500? I mean, I had the $2,000, but they said, yeah. And when you bought them for $500, they took $50. So to me, okay, try to run up the $500. And if I went broke, buying a $500 again, pay another $50. That's how it worked. Every time you bought in, you had to pay 10%. So you can see it made perfect sense to buy in short, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first time I started buying in short. Then I started to see some benefits, like people not knowing how to play against short stacks, not having bad losses. So I didn't start out buying in short. I kind of learned that, hey, I could make a lot of money not doubling someone up who would quit the game and chop it. There were all sorts of weird benefits that I ended up finding out. But the real reason was, I don't know if you're going to call me cheap, I didn't want to pay as much in the rake. I wanted to pay the minimum. That's how it started. But anyway, there were private games in Houston. They raked ridiculously, nothing like this. And this is, again, in the 1970s, 1980s, $1,000 an hour, which even now would be a lot in rake. And the games weren't as big. They were just hand and fist. And, like you complained, and I remember saying, why are you raking? And they'd say, well, anything happens, the police come, I'm the one who takes the heat, I'll be bailing you out, and all these kind of things. Then they did lend money. A lot of times they said, well, we're lending the money, we're responsible for everything. They give you all these reasons. Well, one time, it was actually an inside job. There was a game on the Gulf of Mexico, and these guys, it was a guy who had dealt the game. They came over in boats. The place where the game was right on the Gulf. It was like a lot, the house right on the Gulf.
Mm-hmm.
These guys took boats, came in the back way because there were guards with guns out in the front. And they busted in and they said, okay, everyone strip. They made everyone strip. They took money in their pockets and take off your jewelry, watches, Rolexes, whatever people had. Took all the jewelry, had a big bag, took all the stuff. And then they went to this one guy. The people in Houston will know, the old timers in Houston will know what I'm talking about. I can't remember his name anymore. My friend Larry Parker was the one who used to invite me out there. And that's how I learned probably to get better at Hold'em than I did in Illinois. I was a road player. It's good to go to different games, learn how different people play. It was a good education to learn how to play no limit Hold'em. Anyway, this guy used to always brag. He had a 5-carat diamond ring. He'd always flash it when people have a ring. Someone would ring their wife. He'd always say, well, I've got a 5-carat diamond ring, bigger than everyone else's, right? Anyway, these guys come and they say, give us your ring. And he says, man, I've worn this ring for 13 years. It doesn't come off. And I won't forget, the guy says, well, we can get it off. And the guy takes a gun and he points it at this guy's finger.
Mm.
And the guy says, I've tried, it doesn't come off. And the guy says, well, I'll get it off. And he says, no. And the guy's almost in tears. The guy's about to blow his finger off. And then he says, well, wait a second. Let me go get some soap. Let me try to get it off. So here's this guy with a gun, going to shoot his finger off. And he goes to the sink and he puts some soap on and he does this thing. It comes off. And everyone actually, even though it was a horrible situation, starts laughing because he had been bragging about this ring and even telling people it's never come off in 13 years. He's got the biggest diamond ring of everyone. And then now people, even in the heat of battle, even this is going on, people say, Larry, I thought that ring never came off. You know, you gained some weight over the years. I think his name's, I may have the name wrong. It's probably some other name. I probably have his name wrong, whatever his name is. And he swore, I've tried to get it off. It's never come off. But that time it came off.
And then what, the game went back to normal when this robbery takes place, or what happens? The guy was
of course, nobody got reimbursed for their jewelry. The guy's always saying, hey, if anything happens, I got you covered. You know, the police come, this, that. Well, now everyone's saying, okay, we got our jewelry stolen. We got our money taken. We've been paying $1,000 an hour for years. You're covering, right? No, there was no covering.
So they leave. You guys are all naked, sitting there, laughing at the guy that loses his ring. The money's
not
gone.
Laughing, but people lost their money, and no, we're not laughing. Everyone's relieved that no one got killed.
Right.
You see a guy with guns, you do think, hey, you could get killed. And again, in a casino, not very likely to happen. My whole thing about porno is here's how it looks to me, is me watching other people have sex. I'm very lucky, and I will credit some of it to having money in my life, whatever, that my sex life has been good my whole life. I've never wanted to see other people have sex. It just doesn't do anything for me. I'm not even downplaying it, but normally I think people who watch porno, it's because their sex life isn't that. My sex life, I think, is better than whatever I'm going to see, or it has been. Maybe not now, but I'm saying it has been. Alex is laughing at me. Alex is laughing hysterically. Okay, now it is too. I'm sorry. She's laughing hysterically. I didn't mean it that way. No, well, here's actually how I mean it. Another